Hey guys, it's Hunt Fish Shoot One here. I'm just gonna make a video on how to drop shot, or how to rig up the drop shot rig. It's really easy. It works really good for me during the spawning season for bass. I like to use it a lot because you can drop it right on the bed and just mess around with them for a long time, and then they won't usually run away from it too bad. And then they always come back to the bed, so if you do hook them and mess around with them and you lose them, then you still have another chance to get to them or not. How I hook the first one up from the weight, you have your weight right in this finger, and then it's about a foot or so up is where I like to have it at usually. Foot, like this. I usually use fluorocarbon because the stretch isn't too bad, and usually get a lot more fish with it, because with braid the fish can usually see it a little better, and you don't really want the fish to see it, because if the fish see it, then they might not want as much chance of eating it. Let's see if I remember how to do the palm or not. With the Palomar knot, you take the tag end, you run it through the hook twice, the hook eye twice, and then you take the two loops that form, or the one loop that forms when you do that, and you tie a regular knot around the two lines that you put the loop through, or to make the loop. It's kind of confusing, but I'll see if I can zoom in and show it a little better. Alright. If I had braid, I could show you better, but there's a loop right here from forming when you put it through the eye hook twice. This is a loop. And then you would take this, the two lines that make it form, and let's see. You gotta make sure you have enough so that you can run it back through the hook. But anyways, I don't usually use the Palomar knot because it takes too much time for me to tie. But it's a very strong knot, so you wouldn't have as much chance of breaking fish off. Then you just pull it tight. You usually want to wetten it down so it doesn't create so much friction on it and snap the line. Because I've had that happen before. It was just tying the knot and the line broke. Alright. So this is how it should look so far. The hook should be right there, and you want it to stand up like that. So you'd have the rod right here in my hand going up, and you want the hook to be pointing straight out, so if a fish does take it, there's a fish and it's coming by, it takes it like this, the hook will be pointing up and it'll get it right in the top of the jaw, and you'll have more of a chance of catching the fish. And then what I do, I'm going to try something new this year. Right at the end of the weight, because last year I was sight fishing and I was watching a lot of the fish come down and hit the sinker because they must have thought it was a crawdad or something. So what I'm going to try this year is putting on like a size 6 hook, just a regular hook, octopus hook, tying my weight on down below the drop shot hook, and then have that other hook that you just put on right below where the weights meets. You don't tie it on there, and you let it slide up and down freely. So it would look like there's the drop shot hook. You put your worm, your wacky worm. That's what I usually like to do. And then there's the weight right there, and then there's that hook just sliding around freely. And what that does, it should sit at the weight a lot, and if a fish does hit the weight, then you'll have more of a chance that you'll actually hook the fish if it does hit the weight. And if that happens, then you got more of a chance of getting it. The bait I like to use I'm gonna try something new down at the bottom. It's Mr. Twister. I think what 3 inches yellow. I really like the yellow Mr. Twisters. I think bass like to see them a little better. This Archer's color works really good. Sparkly green works really good. I usually don't get too much for big bass on it, but I get a lot. Good quality, quantity, everything like that. Why I'd put a Mr. Twister on the bottom, it's because if you got it sitting down there, the tail is just such a soft plastic that it moves around really good and everything like that. I like to use all different kinds of plastics. If you drop shot like a wacky worm, you want to get the wacky worm tool. It's got little O-rings on it right here, and you put your bait inside this little tube, and then you roll a ring on there so you don't lose as many baits, because it works really good. I got some shaky head. I think it goes from 4 to 6 inch worms in there. Those work super good for drop shotting. I got some little Cincos, Aqua Glows. Those work really good. I also use little minnow patterns like that. It's about 2-inch minnow pattern from Berkley Gulp. That works really good. I was getting some really good bass bites on these ones. I think they're Cabela brand. Just minnows, about 4 inches long. They work really sweet. I got some of these from a Cabela's bucket package. I just bought it to see what kind of good baits were in there or not. They work really good if you hook them right through the clear part. These are really good for wacky worm drop shot. I'll show you what they look like. You hook it through. I don't like doing just drop shot because if you hook it through the nose of the bait, yeah, you get a lot of action, but not as much action if you'd hook it through like the middle of the bait, because then you got two ends wiggling around going crazy. See, this one's like maybe 4 inches long, and it's got a nice finesse tail on it, so it works really good for for wacky worming. And if usually if it's not spawn time, I won't put the weight on there, and then it'll just be a wacky worm. That works really sweet with minnow patterns, because bass just kill it. I also have some little snake patterns, but I got those from that Cabela's bucket too. I haven't really caught anything much on them yet. I got lots of Gary Yamamoto. They all work really sweet. I usually like to get some smaller stick bait type stuff, but plastics, they work sweet. I also like Gulp Power Bait, or Gulp by Berkley leeches, and about 5 inches. Those things just kill the bass. I was getting 5-6 pounders almost every other cast on this beaver dam. Also got these minnows by Berkley Power Bait. They're 4 inches, black and silver. They just kill. Aqua Glow's got a really sweet selection of good wacky worm stuff. They also have a good selection of shaky head jigs, or some shaky head plastics that just are ultimate. But my all-time favorite is a Zoom. Just red with sparkle. It's like purple sparkles in there. It's just an amazing worm for wacky worm drop shot, because it looks pretty real. I mean, if I was a bass, I would sure as heck take that. Especially sitting on a spawning bed just messing around with your stuff, I would definitely just slaughter that. Alright, well, this is where I hook it usually. I take the fatter side, because there's a skinny side and a fat side to the worm. And I take it, there's a little smooth spot right here, and just hook it right through there. So you got your worm. I usually use like 4 to 6 pound test line fluorocarbon. and you got your worm up here, about 12 inches from it, from the weight. Sorry about that. And then you got your weight down here that is dragging on the bottom or sitting on the spawning bed. And then you got your Mr. Twister down there. I haven't tried it yet this year. There's still ice on the lake, so I can't really try it yet. So we'll see if this idea works. If it does, I'll try to make up some more. That should work pretty good. I would stick with smaller baits down by the weight though, so it doesn't scare the fish off. You could put on some shaky head jig worms that float up, so you got it floating up like this, and you can just jig that thing down there, and then you can have your wacky worm up higher, so if there's a fish suspended, it doesn't see the one on the bottom, you can just slam that. I always like to keep more than just my favorite bait, because I want to try fishing in tournaments, but there isn't really anything too good going around in Billings, and that's where I live in Montana. There's just one lake that produces super nice bass, but not very many people know about it, and everyone that fishes with me, we all get really nice bass, just nobody ever listens to me or anything. This year I should get some videos posted up. When I do use the wacky worm, I usually fish from about 3 foot of water. The lake's not the clearest lake ever, but it's pretty good. I like to keep Strike King sunglasses polarized. They work really sweet. Well, subscribe and comment, like if you think this should work this year. Well, I'll get back to you guys. Thanks.